Hey, Jerry Stevenson, Chief Redneck in Charge, Redneck BBQ Lab in Geese Crossroad, Benson, North Carolina. Today's video is how to make burn-ins at home, just like at the lab. And as always, folks, please remember, if you like this video, like the content, please like it, subscribe to our channels, and share it with your friends. And as always, do not forget to leave us comments or suggestions for future videos down here below. So, let's begin. If you guys remember from our brisket video that we featured here on our channels previously, and if you haven't seen the brisket videos, it might be a good time to stop this video and go watch it. Because when we were preparing the brisket, there was two parts of the muscle that we had talked about. The flat, where we cut slices out of, and then we talked about the point, was that secondary muscle running underneath the flat. And I pulled it to the side and I said, hey, remember this can be used for something else? But that's another story. Well, that's this story. This is the part that we make burn-ins out of. This is the point from our previous brisket that we cooked. If you guys remember, we had trimmed it and we had seasoned it and we had cooked it just like we did that brisket flat, but I'd put this aside for later. So now is later. So let me show you how to make burn-ins at home, just like at the lab. First thing that we do is we'll remove the flat from a pan that we had put it in. The reason it was sitting in a pan uncovered is I like to let this flat get almost cold, down to room temperature. You're not going to catch anything or anything like that. It's quite all right. You have several hours for it to happen. The biggest part is try not to eat it before you cut it. The reason I like for it to cool down is it helps me make those little cube points that are burn-ins a whole lot easier, and they won't fall apart because there's no energy in it. The first thing I like to do is that I want to trim off this excess fat. A lot of people, I can hear you screaming at your screens right now, like no, because to a lot of folks, fat is the flavor in this. I'm not removing all of the fat from this point. I'm just removing some of the fat. This is some of the fat that got a lot of the smoke in it, and I worry about it being kind of bitter, and I don't want it to mess up our burn-ins. So once I've kind of got some of that off, I go ahead and I start trimming this up. And basically what I want to do is trim this up into little bite-sized pieces. Bite-sized pieces meaning probably 3/4 or 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch. Some of these you'll notice they're not going to become those nice square ones. It's all right. What I call these are called eaters. It's part of what we'll eat later on as cooks to make sure that our product is good before we serve it to our guest. So if it makes it to our guest, or with me, the judges. A lot of times in competitions, we don't turn in the burn-ins to the judges because they're so critical of them being fatty or they fall apart in my mouth and the things that we kind of love in barbecue ourselves. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut these up into, like I said, 1/2 inch cubes or 1/2 inch long, I guess like fingers right now at this point. Move some of this. This is the stuff that I call the cook prepares and the cook gets a little treats on the side. Once we cut these up, we'll cut these into some small parts. Some of these will never make it to the plate. Like I said, those little smaller pieces a lot of times will find their way with me. A lot of this will turn into breakfast tacos or toppings for nachos and stuff. A lot of our competition cuts, that's where this will end up. So, but once we started cubing, once we got these cut into those little 1/2 inch slivers, this is when we start making those little cubes, those little cubes of brisket cotton candy, so to speak. So very carefully with a very sharp knife, we start cutting these up. And this is about perfect, if you can see, pardon all this collagen and fat on my hands, but these are about perfect size for burn ends. Just a little small bit to pop in the mouth. So I'm gonna put these into this pan right now. Continue cutting these. Try to speed up a little bit. A lot of burn ends here. Oh, believe you me, we're not throwing those away. We're going to keep those. Like I said, it'll make somebody happy. Sharp knife, like I said, sharp knife, cold product really helps. That's the pro tip on these burn ends. You can just kind of ruin some meat by cutting them too hot, getting them too hot. It's not good. Treat them like you would your children or your pets. Treat them very carefully, very gently, because they will, clean that up just a little bit, because they will break up if you don't. One of the things, like I was talking about, my pro tip about how you let this cool down, right here, I would say I'd almost want to stop, because you can see I'm kind of breaking these up myself, because, like I said, they are so delicate when they're at this stage, and you have to be gentle with them. You just can't bang on them like a steel drum. All right. So once we've got these pieces cut, like I said, not all of them will make the cut today's video. They will be getting eaten, trust you me, when I'm done with them. All right. All right. That's probably enough for us to start. And that's enough for about probably one Jerry-sized taco right there. First step making these burn ends is I put a little of my seasoning on it. If you notice, I kind of put them in a pan. I turned them upside down. The bark side of the meat I've kind of got down, and the reason is I'd like to put just a little bit more pop, a little bit more seasoning on these. So we're using our all-purpose rub. It's the same rub I use in competition to do this. And I come in and I salt it just kind of like how I would salt my steak, about like that. Not too much, not enough. Not too much, not overpowering. Next thing I'd like to do is put on some sauce. Sauce I use, same sauce I use in competition. This is my beef sauce. It says Grand Championship. One of the reasons why I call it my Grand Championship is this is usually the last sauce these KCBS judges get to eat before they go home. And, well, we've been blessed enough. My sister and myself won a lot of Grand Championships, and I truly do owe it to this sauce. So one of the things I like to do is do this in a pan. Very gently kind of coat these, not real saucy, but just kind of cover them like that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to use the same hand that we've been doing to just kind of turn these over, kind of like that, in the pan without trying to tear them apart. Sometimes you need a bigger pan than we have here. Then once we've got them like that, then I'll put them back into another pan, kind of like so. Once we've got all of these back into the pan, kind of lined up, we're going to go ahead, we're going to take them out to our smoker. Our smoker's outside rocking right now. I've got it up to probably about 300 degrees. That's where I like to do. They'll go in there anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes. Let this sauce kind of stick up on the outside. See you guys in a few minutes down at the smoker. I'm going to finish up doing these burn ends. All right, outside of the smoker right now, those burn-ins that we cubed up and sauced and then put the rub on are ready to go into the smoker. Smoker's nice and hot. I put a little bit of cherry wood in there just to give this that final thing that it needed, that final ingredient, that kiss of smoke. All right, it's been about 10 minutes now. We're gonna peek inside and see what we've created. Yep. They look nice and tacky. They're no longer wet. You start to see a little bit of the oil starting to come out of these things. That means it's ready to pull them out. They look pretty good to me. A couple minutes, we're about to find out. All right, folks, they're hot off the smoker. It's game time. Remember, this was the beef brisket that we started out cooking, and for about 15 hours, this was the point that we removed off that brisket and sat off to the side. We let it cool. Once it had cooled down, we cubed it up. We seasoned it with our rub. We hit it a little bit more of that Redneck BBQ Lab Grand Champion sauce. We put those cubes back into the smoker with a little bit of cherry wood. We left them there about 10 minutes. I'll be honest with you, it's tough. That's the toughest 10 minutes of your life, but it's worth it, trust me. Now there's only one last thing left to do, and this is the part that I like. Let me show you how I like mine. I like mine a little bit more saucy and with a little bit more of that Redneck BBQ rub. So, Grand Champion sauce, Redneck BBQ Lab rub. That's a hard combination to beat. I think we've won 8 or 9 perfect scores with just that same recipe. Moment of truth. Smell-o-vision needs to be a real thing. It's all right. It just kind of melts in your mouth. You want to swallow after about 3 bites, but it's like, don't do it, don't do it. You keep chewing, you just want to taste more and more and more. You're getting that salty, you're getting that sweet, you're getting that heat, you're getting that smoke, little tang of that sauce, little bite of that rub. Man, it's a good combination. One of those that I really wish you guys would try at home. So just remember, this is something that we learned about years ago on the competition trail. 3 years ago, we brought this to North Carolina here at the Redneck BBQ Lab. A lot of people are trying to do this. Very same recipe. And now you guys can do it at home, same way we do it right at the lab. So once again, thank you guys for watching this. Thank you guys for, well, being the reason why we want to do stuff like this. So do us a favor, like this video, subscribe to our channels. There'll be more videos coming out like that. Please share this with your friends. So once again, Jerry Stevenson, Chief Redneck in Charge, Redneck BBQ Lab in Gee's Crossroads, and my friend, Mr. Mike Baker, Event Webcasting. Be kind to one another, smile, pass it around. Everybody needs it, and it's free. Be good. Love you.